Something's off. You can't explain it. You can't prove it. But deep in your body, you know something is slipping away. It's not chaos. It's not drama. It's subtle, almost graceful. And that's what makes it more real than anything you've felt in years. The habits you used to rely on no longer work. The conversations that once felt comforting now feel hollow. The goals you were once chasing, you've forgotten why they even mattered. You haven't failed. You've shifted. And that shift didn't ask for permission. It began quietly, in your bones, in the way you've started needing more silence, more space, more truth. You're not breaking down. You're shedding a life that was built on stories that never belonged to your soul. And that process, it doesn't look like transformation. It looks like forgetting who you were trained to be. This isn't confusion. It's clarity, dissolving, distortion. It's the gentle collapse of a version of you that kept everything together, but never truly felt like home. So if you feel lost right now, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Because this isn't about finding yourself. It's about finally stopping the performance long enough to feel what was always real beneath it. This video isn't guidance, it's resonance. And if it's echoing in your chest already, that means something in you remembers. Even if your mind hasn't caught up yet, there's a reason nothing feels solid anymore. Why time feels distorted, why your memories echo differently, why people seem farther away, even when they're standing right next to you. It's because the energetic foundation of reality is dissolving. Not all at once, not with a bang, but in waves, subtle, persistent, undeniable. You're not just changing, the field itself is shifting. And that field, the invisible web that holds together our timelines, identities, relationships, is no longer sustaining what isn't real. You may have noticed, certain routines now feel impossible to follow. Conversations feel misaligned without a clear reason. Environments you used to love feel energetically off. Your own voice, your choices, your desires feel like echoes from someone else's life. This isn't personal. It's vibrational infrastructure collapse. The frequency that once held your reality together was built on old templates: survival, approval, conditioning, adaptation. And now that frequency is being rewritten, not by effort, but by resonance, which is why you can't push through this. You can't discipline your way back to who you were, because the scaffolding of that identity is gone, and your soul knows it. That's why you're tired, why you can't focus, why silence feels safer than noise. You're not losing your fire. You're being asked to extinguish the performance that blocked your real light. And in that space, beneath the old energetic frame, something new is humming. A frequency that doesn't require effort to sustain, only alignment. But before that alignment can stabilize, everything out of sync has to rise and release. That's what you're feeling now. Not confusion, but energetic honesty. And while the world continues pretending everything is the same, you've already stepped out of the illusion. Now the question is, can you hold still while the field rewrites itself through you? Let's get clear about something. You're not broken. You're in transition. And this transition, it's not emotional. It's energetic. What you're experiencing right now is the slow, deliberate, unnegotiable unraveling of everything you built while in survival. The goals, the relationships, the habits, even the identity you spent years constructing is being dissolved. Not because it was wrong, but because it was never built to hold your next level of frequency, and your soul knows that. So it began a quiet revolution inside you, one that doesn't announce itself with clarity, but with confusion, with fatigue, with disconnection, with this strange aching silence where there used to be drive. Because what's falling away now is not your life. It's the structure that once kept you contained inside a version of you that was safe, but not sovereign. And that kind of shedding doesn't feel like awakening. It feels like disappearing. You'll catch yourself saying, I don't know who I am anymore. I feel disconnected from everything. I can't go back, but I have no idea what's next. That isn't failure. That's energetic liberation in progress. You are not supposed to know who you are during the collapse, because the you that's dissolving was shaped around coping, around belonging, around being good, acceptable, useful, needed. But the truth? You were never here to be understood. You were here to remember. And remembering doesn't sound like answers. It sounds like quiet detachment from illusion. That's why nothing sticks right now. Your plans fall apart. Your energy fluctuates. Your voice feels foreign. Your desires shift mid-sentence. You're not unstable. You're unstitching timelines, timelines you maintain through force, fear, and performance. And now that the performance is ending, your nervous system is trying to catch up. It doesn't know how to be held in stillness. It was wired for movement, for fixing, for maintaining the illusion of I've got this. But you don't need to have this anymore. You just need to stay with what's falling away. That's the practice now. Not chasing clarity, but letting go of the version of you that demanded it. Because clarity is not born in force, it arrives through resonance. And resonance doesn't rush. So when you feel the pull to go back to old routines, the panic of not being productive, the guilt of needing more solitude than usual, the shame of not being healed or clear, pause and ask, what part of me is trying to perform alignment instead of embodying it? Because what you're walking through right now is not the end of your path. It's the end of your pretending. And after that, only what's true will survive. The true voice, the true rhythm, the true relationships, the true you. But to reach that, you have to stay in the collapse long enough to realize you were never meant to carry this much distortion in the first place. You don't need to rebuild the old. You don't need to rush toward the new. You just need to breathe, to soften, to let what's leaving leave, and trust that what's real will remain. When your soul begins to rewrite your reality, it doesn't knock politely. It enters like wind through cracks you didn't know were there. Slow, invisible, irreversible. You don't get a warning, you get a feeling. And that feeling says, this life no longer fits. But what follows isn't a clean transformation, it's a soft collapse of timelines, identities, dreams, even your own voice. And as terrifying as it feels, it's a sacred process, one that moves through 5 distinct but nonlinear phases. You might loop, you might spiral, you might revisit each one more than once, but every phase has purpose. Phase 1, the distortion becomes visible. You wake up one day and nothing makes sense. Your job, your relationships, your spiritual practices, they all feel off, not broken, just empty. You're no longer aligned with what you built. And even though you can still function, it feels like you're acting in someone else's life. This is the moment when illusion begins to peel. Your soul is whispering, this isn't your truth anymore. And it hurts. Not because it's wrong, but because it used to feel like safety. Phase 2, the void opens. You stop trying. Not out of apathy, but because the old motivations no longer apply. You feel blank, uninspired, detached. This is the space between selves, not who you were, not yet who you're becoming. Just suspended. This is where many people panic, because the ego mistakes stillness for failure, but it's not failure. It's freedom in incubation. And if you can stay with the silence, stay with the floating, stay without rebuilding, you allow your real frequency to emerge. Phase 3, the memory returns. With enough silence, the truth begins to rise. Memories you suppressed. Wounds you thought were healed. Patterns you swore you left behind. This is not regression, it's recollection. Your soul is showing you what still lives in your field. Not to shame you, but to help you release it consciously this time. What you meet here is raw, unfiltered, unnerving. But it's also the gateway to authenticity. Because once you face what was hidden, you stop performing around it. Phase 4, the slow realignment. Now you begin to move again, but not like before. There's no urgency, no performance, no audience, just quiet decisions that feel like leaving the conversation earlier, saying no without softening it, drinking water before checking your phone, making space without explanation. This is not the new self being revealed. It's the true self stabilizing. And for the first time, your life starts to respond in kind. Not with fireworks, but with mirrors. You speak differently, you choose differently, and what's meant for you begins arriving without force. Phase 5, the embodiment arrives. You don't feel enlightened. You feel honest. You're no longer trying to be anything. You just are. You move slower. You speak when it matters. You rest without guilt. You protect your peace like a sacred ecosystem. And for the first time in a long time, you're not afraid of disappearing. Because you realize you were never meant to be everywhere. You were meant to be exactly where you resonate. This is not the end of the journey. It's the integration of the shift. From here, you don't chase alignment. You live inside it. And anything that doesn't match no longer survives in your field. If you're in any one of these phases now, know this. You're not behind. You're not alone. And you're not broken. You are mid-initiation. between worlds, holding the exact frequency that your future requires. And the self that's rising through this, they don't need explanation. They need space, stillness, practice. You're not meant to rush through this. You're meant to hold space for the ending, for the silence, for the self that is slowly remembering what wholeness feels like. This isn't a time for performance. It's a time for protection of your field, of your nervous system, of your frequency. So here are 7 sacred practices to help you stay centered while the false structures fall away. Not to fix the shift, but to hold yourself inside it. 1. Claim your field the moment you wake. The first 5 minutes of your day are energetic gold. Don't hand them to your phone. Before you absorb anything, return to yourself. Sit up. Place one hand over your heart, the other over your solar plexus. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and speak. I belong to this moment. I release what's not mine. I allow my truth to lead. Let that be the first vibration your body hears. Before the stories, before the noise, before the world asks you to be anything. 2. Slow down your movements, deliberately. Speed is the nervous system's survival setting. Stillness is the soul's integration setting. Move slower than you think you need to. Eat slower, speak slower, breathe slower. When you feel the urge to rush, ask, what part of me thinks slowness is dangerous? Because right now, your pace is your medicine, and healing can't land where urgency lives. 3. Choose one act of daily integrity. You don't need a new plan. You need one moment of honesty per day. Ask, where am I saying yes when I mean no? What thought am I repeating that doesn't match who I'm becoming? What am I pretending doesn't hurt? Then act. Not dramatically, just clearly. Say no. Speak up. Step back. Choose rest. Because each time you act from truth, your field stabilizes. 4. Let go of the guilt around needing space. You're more sensitive now. Not because you're weak, but because your system is no longer numbed by distortion. This means you'll need more silence, fewer conversations, less stimulation, time away from energy that feels almost okay. Honor that. You're not withdrawing. You're recalibrating, and anyone who belongs in your next chapter will understand your boundaries or reveal why they can't come with you. Reclaim your space, one corner at a time. Your environment speaks. So ask, what in my space still echoes a version of me I've already outgrown? Clear it. Not all at once, just one drawer, one shelf, one folder. Each release is a signal to the universe. I'm not pretending anymore. I'm ready for resonance. You don't need a new house. You need to stop living inside the energetic clutter of who you used to be. 6. Close the collapse loop every night. Don't take the day's static into your sleep. Before bed, sit in stillness. Place your hands on your body. Breathe into your belly. Speak aloud. I release today. I return to neutrality. I invite rest to reorganize me. Visualize yourself surrounded by light. See anything heavy, words, worries, interactions, melting away. Let sleep become a sacred reset, not just an escape. 7. Speak from the self that's emerging. Your words are architecture. What you repeat becomes the blueprint of your field. So stop saying, I'm stuck. I don't know who I am. Nothing is working. Start saying, I'm becoming. I trust the timing of my unraveling. What's real is already forming beneath the silence. You're not bypassing, you're anchoring. Because when the mind panics, the soul listens for language that stabilizes truth. You don't need to finish the shift today. You just need to hold yourself through it. With rhythm, with ritual, with honesty that doesn't collapse under pressure. These practices aren't rules. They're reminders that you are not lost. You are mid-transformation. And everything that feels unclear right now is just space being made for something your system has never had to hold before. Aligned reality. You're still here. Reading. Breathing. Not because you found the answers, but because something inside you recognized the signal. That ache in your chest, that pull towards stillness, that urge to stop pretending you're okay when you're unraveling, that's not weakness, that's truth rising. And the version of you who is feeling this, they're not confused. They're not behind. They're in alignment with a timeline that's not fully visible yet. You're not walking in circles. You're spiraling inward, back to the center, back to what's real, back to the part of you that never needed to be fixed, just witnessed. Because clarity doesn't always arrive as language. Sometimes it arrives as a breath, a pause, a subtle knowing that says, I don't know where this is going, but I trust where it's coming from. And that is evolution. Not performance, not breakthrough, but daily loyalty to your own resonance. So take one final breath here. Let your body feel what your mind still can't explain. Let this space become a mirror, a permission slip, a memory of who you were before you started negotiating with your truth. You are not here to rebuild what's crumbling. You're here to hold what's true while everything false falls away. And that is enough. If something landed, speak it. Drop a comment. What phase are you in? What's collapsing? What are you releasing to make space for what's next? Your words ground the frequency, not just for you, but for everyone who finds this field after you. Share this video if someone you love is quietly falling apart. They don't need advice. They need to know this is normal. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Not for content, for continuity. Because this isn't just a channel, it's a frequency. Every time you return more fully to yourself. So breathe. Be here. Don't rush. Because this version of you, the one who stayed through the fire, is the one your future has been waiting for.